We're going to go ahead and get started, and we know we'll have some other people that may be joining us in a minute or two. So thank you so much for coming this evening. My name's Amy DeShazo. I am the Guiding Parents to Services Coordinator with Smart Start of Mecklenburg County. And tonight we're going to be introducing you to the different preschool options that are available to you once your children turn 4. All of the attendants that I have sent things out to all have small children who will be turning 4 on or before August 31st. So we hope that you'll find out some great information to help you with next year. So I'd like to just take a moment to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be hearing from 2 different organizations. We're going to start off with CMS, our Charlotte Mecklenburg School System, and I'd like to introduce you to Cher Holcomb. And she is going to be introducing you to some other colleagues, and I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away, Cher.
Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. So glad to see you. My name is Cher Holcomb. I'm the Recruitment and Enrollment Coordinator for the CMS Pre-K program, which contains Bright Beginnings as well as NC Pre-K. I brought along with me today Tracy Thierry, who's our Director of the Pre-K programs. And I also...
Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see everybody. We're so excited to get to chat with you all tonight.
And I also have Cheryl Mandel with us, who's our manager for the Exceptional Children's Program, in case we have any questions, or you need to, if she can help answer some questions as well.
Good evening, guys. It's nice to see everyone this evening.
Great. Okay, Amy, we ready to go to the next slide? Perfect. Okay, here's our agenda for the evening. We're going to talk about the goals of pre-K. What is the difference between NC Pre-K and Bright Beginnings? Our exceptional children. The application process, I'm going to walk you through that a little bit and show you some screenshots of how to access our application for the year. We're going to touch on the curriculum, and I've also have some contacts here for CMS if you have questions for any other departments. Okay. All right, Amy, next slide, please. So pre-K goals. Our pre-K goals in CMS are to provide a rich, child-centered, literacy-focused learning environment. We want to ensure that all children in Mecklenburg County enter kindergarten ready to learn. And we want to offer experiences that ensure children's learning of the academic, personal, and interpersonal skills that are essential to school success. Thank you, Amy. The curriculum that we use in both Bright Beginnings as well as NC Pre-K is the creative curriculum. It is a comprehensive research-based curriculum that features exploration and discovery as a way of learning. It also enables children to develop confidence, creativity, and lifelong critical thinking skills. All right, next slide, please. Throughout the year, we actually measure student growth in the following areas, and we note the progress 3 different times throughout the year. We look at social emotional growth, we look at physical, we look at language, cognitive, literacy, and math skills. And we measure those through our Teaching Strategies Gold as well as our past assessment. And as I said, that progress is noted 3 times throughout the year to see our children as they're growing. What does a typical day look like is what everyone tends to ask. You want to know what your little ones are going to be doing during the day. So I've just given you some examples. Now, these things may not be exactly in this order. They may change around a little bit, but basically these are the different parts of the day that your child will be experiencing in pre-K. So the first is breakfast, and then we have large group meeting. And large group meeting, there's a good morning song, we wish you well, we take attendance, we go over the schedule for the day, there are mighty minutes, there's introduction of new materials, and then review of the question of each day. And then multiple times throughout the day, your children have the capability to have choice time, which means they learn through play in different choice areas around the classroom. And that varies multiple times a day, and they get to choose where they would like to go and what they would like to explore throughout the day. The children will have lunch every day. There will also be read aloud 2 times a day. And then there will be recap lessons, which are complete lessons on emotions and following the rules. There's also Arte Mas, which is a little Spanish lesson daily, as well as outside time 2 times a day. Children will receive a snack, and then they also have large group roundup, which kind of just reviews the whole day and everything that happened for them. So they have a very busy schedule and just have a wonderful day when they're in preschool. Next slide, Amy. Okay, what is the difference between Bright Beginnings and NC Pre-K? We get a lot of questions on that. So we've just made a little chart so you can see that for location, NC Pre-K, which is also known as North Carolina Pre-K, it is located in child development centers around the county. We actually have 25 locations. And Bright Beginnings is the program that is located in our CMS schools. The ratio in both the programs are exactly the same. It is 2 teachers to 18 students. The curriculum is the same. We use the creative curriculum in both programs. Both programs, during the application process, we do a developmental screening, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. For transportation, NC Pre-K, some of our centers do offer transportation. It's not possible with every center, but some of them do offer transportation to and from. And then for Bright Beginnings, there will be CMS transportation at the schools. Most of our children, we try and place at your home school, which is in your zone, and you would receive transportation. But because sometimes we have limited spaces, there are times when we have to offer a placement that might be outside of your home area. And in that case, a parent might be asked to provide transportation to and from. But we try and get transportation to as many children as possible because we know that can be a challenge. Income or academic based, NC Pre-K is based primarily on household size and income. It is a state program that all counties run throughout the state of North Carolina. And there are additional factors that can be looked at, though. It is not completely income based. So I always tell parents to keep that in mind. There are other things that we can look at that would make your child eligible for NC Pre-K as well. For Bright Beginnings, we look for demonstrated academic need, and that is why we complete that developmental screening on your child before we offer placement. Before and after care is always a big question that we receive. So NC Pre-K, which is the one that's at our child development centers, they have that, most of them have the capability for that wraparound care is what we call it. So if you needed to drop your child off early in the morning and school wasn't open yet, they would have a little before care. And then if you needed to pick them up later, they would have after care. There are fees that apply for that. So you need to, each center sets their own rates and things for that. So that would just be something that we would need to research at a later date if your child is placed in the NC Pre-K program. For Bright Beginnings, Pre-K is not part of our after school program except for in 2 locations. So the majority of our schools do not have before and after care for pre-K students. It really only applies to kindergarten through the 5th grade. But we have a couple sites, University Meadows and Hickory Grove, that do offer the after school enrichment program for our pre-K students. And there will be fees for that as well. And then our teachers licensure, yes, all of our teachers in both programs are birth through kindergarten licensed teachers. Next slide, Amy, thanks. Exceptional children. So students who have a CMS IEP in place can receive services in either program. How often or what setting will depend on how that IEP is written for your child. It's very individual. Go to that next slide, Amy. Our application process. So our application process is for children who will turn 4 by August 31st of this upcoming school year. If your child is born after that date, he or she, you would need to apply for the following year, which would be the 24-25 school year. And if your child does turn 5 on or before August 31st and they're age eligible for kindergarten, they are not eligible to apply for the pre-K program. If they are eligible to attend kindergarten in CMS, then that is the grade that they would be attending with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system. I've also included on there our QR code. You'll see that everywhere whenever we're out and about or on our website. If you just scan that QR code with your phone, that goes straight to our application. And it is on our website. It is on every cup and anything that we distribute throughout the city. We have that QR code out there, so it's pretty easy to access. But you can just scan that QR code and it takes you straight to the first page of our application. And you may also access that from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools website as well. Okay, and I'm going to go through each step individually. Amy, I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, so this is what our main landing page looks like on the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools website. And on our application, there is a blue button that says start and log in right there. And that is where you as a parent would click to begin the application process for us. This first step is to set up your family account. And so that is the beginning of the application process. We moved this to an electronic process about 3 years ago when our office was shut down. So it's been very successful and parents have loved that they don't have to come into the office to complete an application. But we are always available and open to help anyone if you have any difficulty, you have any questions. I've put all of our contact information on there and we are more than happy to help you access the application. You're welcome to come into the office and we can help you walk you through it and upload your documents. So I know this is a new type of application to be online, but we found it to be very successful, but we are here to support you in case you need anything as well. Okay, next slide, Amy. So once you've completed your application, and once you've clicked on that button, it takes you to your create account or log back in. So some of our families have been with us for 3 years and they already have their family account started. So they would just simply log back in and they would add any additional children to their application. If you are a new family with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools K program, you would click the create account button and you would create your own new account. Okay, one more slide, Amy. So I've had my crafty little errors here, but if you'll look at one of my favorite features about our application is if you look at the top, there's languages. It is translated into over 90 languages. So when you click on the top, I've got that drop down menu, it will translate into any language, which is so beneficial to our families. And we see it accessed frequently. So that's one of the features I love about the application in case you need support. The green button is your begin application button, and you would simply push that button and complete the entire application. I like to tell parents that it can take, you want to set aside about 20 minutes to complete the application. You cannot stop in the middle. So I always tell parents to set aside a little bit of time so they're able to do that and complete everything. And then once you finish the application, down at the bottom where my other arrow is, there's a little button that says view and add documents. And it is really simple to put your documents on here. Everything is done through this server. And you would just click on that view add docs and you would put in all of the documents that are necessary for your application. For pre-K, we require proof of legal name and birth, which would be your child's birth certificate or adoption decree or passport, something along those lines. We also have 2 proofs of residency that Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools requires. And for us, we also need proof of income. That is critical for determining eligibility for our programs. So those are the 4 documents that are necessary. And there's a list once you get into our application that explains each situation and what you would need to provide when you're uploading all of your documents. I also like to tell families that the easiest way to access this is through your phone. Most of our parents come into the office and use their phone, but you can use a tablet, a computer, whatever is easiest for you. But when you're uploading documents, it's really easy to take a picture of them with your phone and then just load them right in from your camera roll. And we find that that makes it easy for parents to get their documents quickly. We all don't have them saved on our computers as much. So a lot of parents are finding that to be an easy way to access things. Okay, next slide, Amy. So once you've completed your application and you've been entered into the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system, we have to complete a virtual screening appointment on every applicant. That is for both programs. Both programs require a developmental screening, and I get a lot of questions about this. We used to, pre-COVID, the office was open. Everybody would come into the office and we would complete this in person. But when everything happened in 2020, we switched to a virtual model, and our parents have really seemed to be thankful for this and have enjoyed this. And so it's not required for you to come into the office anymore. Everything is done through your dashboard where you just were, and you uploaded your documents and completed your application. The virtual screening appointment is about 15 to 30 minutes in length. It's very short. There's just some interaction with your child, and then we also complete a developmental screening with you as the parent. And it's just a parent-driven, it's just questions that we ask you at this point about your child's development and any concerns that you might have. We have translators available for all of those appointments. We have a complete bilingual staff in the office. And then we also have our wonderful English language learner department that provides translators in all languages so that we can make sure that we answer all your questions. And in order to access this appointment, you'll log in through your family dashboard. Again, back to the same place where you did your application and your documents as well. One of the things that our parents have loved, this virtual environment allows us to have multiple people at the screening. So what I find is a lot of times we have 2 parents, whereas before we would only have 1 who could make it into the office. Or we've actually even screened a child that was on vacation in another country. And or we've had a child who's at a child development center with their teacher, and mom couldn't get off work, and so she was there with the child as well in their environment. So it's been really helpful to our parents to not have to take time off and come into the office for several hours. All right, if you'll go to the next slide, Amy. And this is just where you would access the button for your virtual screening. There's a blue button that says Join Meeting Room, which is right here on your family dashboard. And it is accessible and really easy. We just have found that the more parents go back to Scribbles, this is our application. You're there about 6 different times, and everything that you would need for our pre-K program, the information is located here for you. Okay. And next slide, please. And placement in pre-K. I get a lot of questions about placement. I am the placement coordinator, so I handle all of the placing of children in the office. Placement is based on eligibility and factors in your application. We ask what your preference is, we ask what your location preference is, and we also ask some other questions in the application that help us. Similar to, do you need before and after care? Do you need transportation? Do you need a school that is near a place of employment, or do you need a school where a sibling is? So we try and gather all of that information to make an informed placement decision for your child. After that virtual screening, our parents are notified of placement, usually several weeks after the screening. It's a pretty quick process. And everything is found, again, going back to that family dashboard. Placement can occur in a CMS school or a child development center. So depending on the factors in your application and which program your child was eligible for, I will make the best determination for placement, but I'm always open to discussing it with parents. I have a lot of conversations daily, and we have to talk through some things and make the best decision for your child's placement. If there is an IEP in place, we will coordinate with your child's IEP team to make the best placement for your child. I coordinate with them constantly, and we talk frequently about what the best decision is for you and your child, family. And finally, just at the end, I just put down our CMS contacts there. There's a lot of questions. I know this is, many of you, it's probably your first time, enrolling a child in school. And so there's always questions about transportation and after school. So I've just put our information on there for you. There's my phone number and email address. Also, our main office is there as well. Our pre-K main office. We're located at this Bishop Spa Center. And I've also put student placement on there as well. Student placement is who would handle any questions about kindergarten through the 12th grade, or if you have questions about the lottery and any of our magnet programs, that's who you would need to contact. I've included exceptional children. I've included transportation, which we get lots of questions about, as well as the after school enrichment program if you need anything there. And that is the end of my presentation. I appreciate you giving me the chance to speak with you, and I'm here for questions, as well as Cheryl and Tracy. And we're just happy that you're here with us, and we're happy to see your little ones hopefully in preschool next year.
Thank you so much, Cher. That was a lot of great information. So just to remind everybody, just go ahead and put your questions in the chat. We're going to hear from our next speaker, and then we're going to have plenty of time at the end to address all of the questions. So just keep all of those questions coming. Thank you so much. So now I am pleased to introduce our next speaker. This is Miss Rita Fry from the MEC Pre-K program. Take it away, Rita.
Okay, hello, you can go right to the next slide. Again, my name is Rita Fry. I'm the Assistant Director with the MEC Pre-K program. And I am so happy that you all took some time out of your busy schedule on this Wednesday evening to come and hang out and just hear what we have to offer your families. So MEC Pre-K is a high quality, free pre-K education for your eligible children who are 4 years old, living in Mecklenburg County. Classes are taught by licensed teachers and high qualified assistant teachers. Our classrooms are located in 4- and 5-star child development centers within Mecklenburg County. MEC Pre-K is administered by Smart Start of Mecklenburg County and funded by Mecklenburg County. We have 2 major requirements, which is your child has to be 4 years old on or before August the 31st. And your child has to reside in Mecklenburg County. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. The goal of MEC Pre-K is to provide a rich, child-centered, literacy-focused learning environment and to ensure that all children in Mecklenburg County enter kindergarten ready to learn. Okay, next slide. So about our curriculum, just as CMS, we use the creative curriculum. The day is filled with many developmentally appropriate activities designed with purposeful play. And activities include free choice, small group, and large group instructions. We focus on social and emotional development, our language and literacy abilities, math and science, and just the joy of learning. Our typical day is 6.5 hours, and our example of a schedule is between 8 a.m. to 8:30, although some of our programs start at 8:30 to 3, and then we do have a few of our programs that open up a little earlier at 7:30 and end their day at 2. Just like CMS, we go through the same daily schedule using the creative curriculum. So we do go outside every day. We provide breakfast, lunch, and an afternoon snack. Each of the MEC Pre-K students will receive a developmental screening, an occupational therapy screening, which is our OT, and speech screenings. Screenings take place over the summer and during the first few months of school. If your child is enrolled in the MEC Pre-K program, we will communicate to you via email regarding the screening dates over the summer. And if you are unable to make those screening dates over the summer, we will set up some time in the beginning of the school year, the first few months, to screen your child in the classroom. Parents do not have to be present during the school year, but over the summer, we do have parents come out to join us, and we'll do what we call a parent orientation. Okay, next slide, please. In addition to our regular preschool, we do offer supportive services. And our goal is to ensure that we provide assistance to MEC Pre-K families experiencing short and long-term challenges. Families can be referred by teachers, centers, and the MEC Pre-K support specialists. Our supportive services assist in student referrals to OT, speech, and to any other services that families may need. We collaborate with MEC Pre-K families, and we partner with them to meet their individual needs, such as housing insecurities, food insecurities. So we do have a team available to walk families through that process. We also support families with engagement concerns, whether it's transportation back and forth to school, or just how to acclimate themselves to our learning environments. The contact information for our family support is right here on the screen. If you have questions about enrolling your child and understanding if this is going to be a best fit, you can also reach out to our family support and supportive services department, and they will walk you through that process. To apply for MEC Pre-K, you can go to our website, mecprek.org. This is our main screen. We will ask you to complete your application online. We do have several languages that you can choose from to complete your application. So you'll just toggle to the language of your choice. We'll ask you to upload your documents and then check your email for responses. Our database allows you to start your application, and if you're unable to finish it, you definitely can come back and log back into our system and to finish your application. Not only you can use online, you can use your computer or tablet or even smartphones. If you're unable or don't have access to a computer, you can definitely come into our office. You can email us and we can email you a paper application and even a fillable application, but we are here to support you in any way necessary. So what you need to apply for MEC Pre-K, we ask for a proof of your child's date of birth and legal name, which is typically your birth certificate or a passport if you have that. Proof of parent identity, which is typically your driver's license. Proof of Mecklenburg County residency. We do ask for at least one proof of residency, what could be a lease agreement, mortgage statement, or a utility bill. And we do ask for health information. So if your child has a chronic illness or even an IEP, we do ask you to upload that into our system. This allows us to provide opportunities and planning for your child for the fall. Next slide, please. We are located in 47 centers across Mecklenburg County. In our database, in our application, you can find a program that meets the needs of your families. It will list whether the program offers transportation or before and after school care, but all of that information is located in the application. Parents can choose up to 3 locations. Your first choice will be the one that you most desire. but you get to choose your location. If for some reason you're at your first choice and that's not something that you want, or maybe your family moved throughout the year, you can put in a transfer request to a program that has availability. Not all of our programs offer transportation and before and after care, but once you're in the application and you choose your location, it will let you know their offerings. So here's our contact information. You're more than welcome to visit us at 601 East 5th Street. We're open from 8:30 to 4. You can come in and fill out a paper application, or we can answer any questions that you have. You do not have to make an appointment. You can also reach us by phone and via email.
Thank you so much, Rita. That was, again, great information. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so I can see all of everyone's lovely faces. And so now we're going to open up the opportunity for your questions. I'm going to allow Elizabeth Kabalka, she's our programs director at Smart Start, has been monitoring the chat, and she's going to pose some of those questions that you guys have been asking, and hopefully you will get the answers that you need to make a great decision for your child.
There we go. Now I'm off mute. Hello, everybody. Appreciate the questions that you all are putting in the chat. We also solicited questions when you registered for this. And so I know one of the first questions that I saw in the registration feed was about eligibility criteria. And I think that that is certainly a question that is coming up in the chat as well, related to specific children. And I know that we can't address, you know, everybody's specific needs or specific requirements. So I'm wondering if you all can address perhaps that age, the age question, whether, you know, what happens if you've held your child back for a year because of COVID concerns or whatever. And then also in terms of sort of knowing which way is the right way to go between the two programs. So I'm going to kick the question to Rita first, and then we'll hear from Cher.
So to be age eligible for MEC Pre-K, your child has to be 4 years old on or before August the 31st of that current school year. So this year will be August the 31st, 2023. Unfortunately, we are not able to accept children who are 3 or 5 and who does not meet that age requirement. Regarding the eligibility in the program that, you know, when you're making that decision, we have a team of registration and intake specialists that can walk you through the process, but really it's parents' choice. We ask parents to choose 3 locations that fit their individual needs. We encourage families to go out and visit the child care centers, and we will walk you through, but it's really the parent's choice.
Do you want to follow up with what the requirements are for NC Pre-K?
Sure, and I'll echo Rita. Definitely it's parents' choice. With our application, you can apply to both programs. And in the same way, we also ask for a first, second, and third choice for our NC Pre-K sites as well. Just like Rita said, there's a lot of questions out there, and we are more than happy to help and answer and direct you any way possible. We look, as I said, our application, we look at siblings, we look at your household size and income, we look at the developmental screening, but I encourage everyone who has an age eligible child who will turn 4 by August 31st to apply. I think you will have options in the fall, and I think that if you're interested in applying, this is the time to apply. And if you've chosen to hold your child back, let's say for COVID concerns, and they've been at home, as I mentioned earlier, if your child turns 5 on or before August 31st of this year, and they are age eligible for kindergarten, there's not a pre-K option in the CMS schools.
You
Got
know,
it. So go ahead, Rita.
I do want to add one more thing. You know, I know while parents are deciding which option is best for them, and we do ask you to pick your top three choices. But we do ask families to start thinking about that now, because some of our locations fill up pretty fast. So we have gotten over 600 applications for the fall already. And so we definitely want parents to give us a call or start thinking through that process so that you can get the choice that best meets the needs of your family.
Good advice. Good advice. And so there's a question in the chat about those sites where you both were located, where there were co-locations. Do one of y'all want to address the how we're trying to untangle that for families? Because we know that was a little bit confusing.
Sure. Rita, you want me to take it? You want to?
Yeah, you can go ahead and take it.
So we have spent a lot of time talking between the programs about trying to make sure that we're doing what's best for families across the entire county. We've been working together to make sure we've got locations across the county. And this year we actually have just 2 locations where we will be both in the centers. Other than that, we're trying to move and make sure it's easier for parents. We know that it's been a little confusing, and we want to make sure that you're filling out the correct application for the location you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great. I am wondering, there was some concern about, like, if they were put in a location that wasn't desirable. Is there anything that you all can offer about, like, flexibility or working with families? You know, I think Rita's comment about how quickly things fill up might have raised some anxiety levels a little bit. So just wondering if you guys might be able to say anything about that.
So we do allow families to transfer throughout the year. We do understand that your situation change. You know, maybe you move, or maybe you thought this program was going to meet your family's need. But when you do transfer, you can transfer to a location that has availability. But we do encourage you to go online to look at our locations. Give them a call. Each of our locations will be hosting an open house just for MEC pre-K families, so you can go and take a tour so that you can make an informed decision. So we're hoping that we're putting systems in place where you can make a choice in the beginning, but if not, you can always transfer as long as space is available.
We have the same at CMS. Our transfer forms actually available on the website as well. And we know circumstances change throughout the year. So we have parents who move, who, have accepted another job, they need something closer to work. And again, if there is available space, you are welcome. We will move your child as quickly as we can to help you in that situation.
And Rita or Cher, do you all have is there an open house or something where parents could come and look at a classroom or a site?
I'm gonna let Tracy, do you have that answer?
Yes, and all of our sites too are always willing to let our families come and visit and take a tour too. So if you're, like Rita said, if you're debating, go out there. Absolutely. Call, make an appointment to schedule a tour. All of our sites welcome visits. Now, sometimes, they might say, oh, can you come at this time, just in case it's lunchtime and they're serving lunches, or, kids are resting, but absolutely. And I would encourage families to do that. I mean, and Rita and Cher both said it perfectly. You have to do what's best for your family and the situation you're in.
There were a couple questions about the lottery. And so can you all talk a little bit more about the lottery, Cher? I think you had mentioned about the lottery in your presentation.
Sure. So Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, we have home schools, and then we also have magnet schools, which study a specific theme. So whether that be IB or Spanish immersion or language immersion, Montessori, things like that. So we have lottery choices pre-K all the way through the 12th grade. I will say for this year, there was an enrollment period if you were interested in the pre-K Montessori program, which is the only program that's available for 4-year-olds. That's a magnet program. It's located at 4 different schools, and there were dates in December that you had to have turned in applications by January the 6th in order to apply for the lottery. And that window has closed for pre-K for this year. However, if you have, moving forward throughout the years, if you have any questions, I put the magnet office, I've got the choice lottery, the magnet office, I've got all that information if you have questions about kindergarten and above.
That's great. Thank you.
Sure.
So I've seen a couple questions about if your child has an IEP or they may be in an exceptional children's classroom right now. Wondering, it's hard when you don't know the specifics, but wondering maybe Rita, if you might be able to sort of talk a little bit about what your advice would be to that family if they're already in an exceptional children's classroom and they have services set up there. What advice would you have to them?
Yes, so if you're already in a program, I think once again it's a family's choice, but if you're looking to transition out, and I think I saw in the chat to like a private care or even to MEC pre-K program, I will say do a little bit of your homework, go out and talk with the programs that you're interested in attending. I will say that, we refer families to CMS. So we know that if a child either has an IEP and there's some services that we can't provide, we do refer them to CMS. We know that is a great option for them, but we welcome all children. We'll come up with a plan to support the child. We do have our family support department that will sit down with the child, the parent, and the teacher to roll out some strategies to support the child throughout the day in the classroom. If you have an ABA therapist, we do welcome them into the centers. You have outside therapists, we do welcome them into our programs, but do some research, talk with Amy and talk with us to see what option is going to be best for you and your family, because it all really depends on what the specific needs is for the child.
Cher or Cheryl want to add to that?
I absolutely can add to that. So, as Rita said, you need to think about what services your child's providing, because we provide special education services across a continuum. It's really thinking about the amount of special education and the location of services when you're thinking about services for that 4-year-old year and what is going to be appropriate for you and your family. The process to apply is the same whether you're a child with an IEP or a child without an IEP. You still have to go through both application processes depending on which program that you're looking at. I saw several questions that popped up in the chat, Elizabeth, around students that had been receiving services or were found eligible for services, but parents chose not to present them for that services. If those students end up being placed into one of these programs and parents would like for services to resume, they would need to go ahead and give our intake a call to resume services. That number is 980-343-2720. And when those services resume, they resume based on the most current IEP. And once some additional data is collected, then the IEP team can meet to determine if changes need to be made to the amount of services and or location of services.
There were also some questions about children who maybe don't have a formal IEP, but maybe have some developmental concerns or behavior issues, and wondering like what you all can offer to help those children be successful. We know that sometimes they just need a little bit extra. And so, but also recognizing that you've got a whole classroom of littles. And so if a child maybe isn't quite toilet trained because of some developmental delays, or maybe has a little bit of frustration due to verbalization, that sort of thing. What if a child has an ABA is what Sue is asking. So, for these extra things, what can you say to help parents sort of know what might be the right thing for them to do for their child?
So I'll start this one off. All children learn and develop differently. They all have their own different personalities. And so our goal is to really help them hone their personalities and be successful in the classroom and socialize with their peers. So if your child, maybe it's some sort of delay, or maybe they're just having a hard time regulating their emotions, we will put in what we call a referral. So we have our support specialists that will come out to the classroom and they'll do an observation of the child. And first they'll contact you and get some information. So let me start there. They'll contact you and get some background information and let you know what's going on in the classroom. Then they'll set up an observation date, go out and observe the child, look at the assessments that were taking place in the beginning of the school year. And together with you, the teacher, and with the specialist, they will come up with some strategies to support the child in the classroom. Depending on the level of support needed, if we need outside support, we do partner with Mecklenburg County and some other agencies within the community and CMS. So we do reach out to our partners to get additional support in the classroom if needed. We do accept ABA in the classrooms. So I hope that has answered your question, but we do walk you through that process. We put the children on a 30-day cycle. And by all means, if we're unsuccessful with supporting your child, we will definitely put a referral out to different agencies.
Great. I'll say same question to CMS, please.
Tracy, I can speak to, challenging behaviors and different supports in the school when a child doesn't have special education services and or isn't eligible for special education services. Within our Bright Beginnings classrooms within the elementary schools, there are systems of support that are set up for our classrooms teachers and for our students in order to help children and support children in learning of the essential skills that they need, social emotional, to be able to access their pre-K activities with their peers. The same goes for NC pre-K. There are guidelines that are followed by NC pre-K sites that also follow systems of support that put in place strategies and interventions to help teach the children the skills that they need in order to access those activities. Tracy, you can follow up with that if I missed anything on that one.
Yeah, and I think it's like Rita said, all children develop at different times. And potty training is a big one, y'all. I have a son, so and it's okay. Our teachers, they're licensed birth through K, and they will work with your child on potty training, and they'll work with the family. That it will be a team approach. It really, truly will be. So I think that's important to just to think about. And I know it's scary. Y'all, I've been in your shoes, and it's hard as a mama or dad to figure out what is the best, but all programs have wonderful teachers, and they will work with your child and help your child even with those emotions. You'll be so surprised too when your child comes home and maybe they're frustrated, and all of a sudden they say, I need to blow out a candle. And you'll, what are you talking about? And they're just blowing out, pretending to to self-regulate. So
Yeah.
your child will learn and grow so much in this early childhood environment. This is, I mean, it is the foundation for school. So I hope I answered that question. But our teachers will work with your child and with you as a family to help support the child and the family.
Great. One quick question. We heard from from MEC Pre-K that ABA is allowed, but there's a question in the chat asking if ABA therapists are welcome in all programs. So I want to give CMS a chance to respond to that since we heard from Rita.
Tracy, you want me to take that one also?
Thanks,
Like,
Cheryl.
who gets off of mute first? So in our, who can get to the button quick enough? So in our elementary schools, third-party therapists are not permitted to provide therapy during the school day. In our NC Pre-K child development sites, it is based on director discretion and the person who is providing therapy passing the background checks and the qualification letters for that the state requires for people to be in providing services in the centers.
Great, thank you for that, Cheryl. I think we're quickly running out of time, and so any questions that we don't get to tonight that are in the chat, please know that we will make sure we will ask our colleagues here to answer those so that we can provide you all with the information that you need to make an informed choice. I see somebody who's asking the question that I would ask when I was if I was in these shoes. My children are older now, which is, should I just apply for both? And so, you know, you know, I do like to game a system from time to time. So, you know, what is your advice for families who really aren't sure, but they don't want to perhaps like decide now, well, I'm going to go ahead and apply to MEC Pre-K, but then they get down the road and they're like, oh no, this isn't the right choice. And then it's too late for NC Pre-K. Is that a possibility? Or what kind of advice would you guys give families on how they should navigate this process?
So I think the
Sharon,
first.
I'm gonna kick it to
You want me
you.
to go? Okay, all right. So I think we're trying to make it as easy as possible on parents. I think filling out multiple applications can be challenging. There's lots of information. So I would encourage parents to look at both programs and locations of both programs and what works for them. We all know that certain programs are closer to work, what's going to fit with dropping off other children at school or bus stops, things like that. You need to decide what works best for your family. I know we've said that multiple times tonight, but everybody has a different story. Everybody has something that's different. You can definitely apply to both programs. I mean, our applications are open, but we both are primarily in different places in the city. Locations fill up. Yes, they do. At some point, obviously, we have waiting pools at multiple locations. But, you know, I just encourage you to do your research and look at the location and the after school care and the wraparound care and the things that work for you as a family, and then make that decision. And we're here to help if you have any questions. My contact information's on here, as well as my department. So we're willing to help.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is parents really needed to spend a little bit of time on your websites, digging into the map and see which locations are closest to them, which locations offer transportation, which locations, if they need that wraparound care before and after, which locations offer that. It's a little bit of a puzzle that parents are going to have to put together for themselves, I think. Is that fair to say?
I agree. And I always say, you know, it is a tough year. I mean, sometimes when you get into kindergarten, you have all your children in the same school, you have after school all in the same school, but pre-K, you know, it takes a little juggling sometimes to make it work with your family. So yes, I agree.
I
So-
think that's great advice too, is, look at if you have other children, look at their school schedule too, and the bell schedule. I'll never forget one daddy coming to me, it was probably the third day of school. He's like, I'm stressed. I can't make it to this time with the bell schedule. And we were able to, adjust him to a center that would work for his other students' bell schedule. But look at those things too, like Cher was saying, because that's something to keep in mind.
So as we are starting to wind down our time, I want to thank all of our panelists that have been so helpful in talking through all of the questions, but I know that people have specific questions about their child. So tomorrow I will be sending out the contact information that all of our providers have given to us, so that you will have all the information that you need to be able to contact if you need to talk about your specific situation. Anybody will be happy to answer the questions that, and if they can't, they will direct you to the right person. Earlier today, we sent out a chart that has a comparison of the different programs. I will resend that again tomorrow, and that is in English and Spanish. So hopefully that will also help answer a few of the questions. And then lastly, Elizabeth is going to be putting a link in the chat for a post presentation survey. We will really appreciate if you could please take just a few minutes to give us a little bit of information about your experience with our webinar tonight. Whether you are a professional or you are a parent, we really would like to hear how you felt about the information and how we can make it more meaningful for the next time. We're always a work in progress, just like our littles. And I just want to thank again everybody for taking the time to come out. I hope you all got at least some of your questions answered. I am still here to help you talk through some of these things as well. While I can't make a decision for you, I am happy to weigh out all of those options for you and help you kind of come to an answer that you feel confident about. So thank you to our CMS staff. Thank you to our MEC pre-K staff. And I wish everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. And a big shout out to Elizabeth for being my wing woman, and Elizabeth, our Spanish interpreter as well, who's done an amazing job as well. So thank you so much to everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For coming.